Hello, welcome to the BIM Student. I'm your host Chetna Chauhan. Our guest today has a career that is perfect combination of academic awareness and industry exposure. He holds a Ph.D. in Construction Engineering and Management Technologies and co-founded Building Innovation Research Center at University of Toronto. As an associate director of the center for 6 years, he led innovation research, partnership development, and transformation change amongst key stakeholders in Canadian construction, government, and education sectors. He is an entrepreneur and innovator who co-founded AECO Innovation Lab in pursuit of engaging the immense talent in our academia to solve the problems of AEC industry. Through various initiatives like One Ontario, he is to lead the digital transformation of AEC industries and government through collaborative R&D projects, innovative products, and expert consulting. Recently, he was named as Top 40 Under 40 in Canadian construction for his innovative work. Wait, that's not all. He continuously is contributing to the industry by serving as a research chair for Toronto BIM Community and is on the board of directors for buildingSMART Canada. Please welcome Arash Shahi. Hi Arash, welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad you're here to share your expertise, to share your knowledge with us, and I'm looking forward to learning something really new today from you.
Hi Chetna, glad to be here today. I'm not sure if you're going to learn anything new from me, but happy to be here and have a conversation about this. So thanks for having me.
Yes. Arash, I've seen your LinkedIn profile. I've stalked you online on LinkedIn. But let's, for our audience, do you want to quickly give a quick background of where you come from, what have you been doing, how, if at all, have you used BIM, and how have you come across BIM in your professional career?
Sure, yeah. I'll make it very brief. My background is civil engineering. So I got my civil engineering degree. I was interested in structures and I studied at Waterloo. But then after my master's, I got interested in more construction management applications, automated systems for construction management. So I started doing my Ph.D. with co-host at Waterloo on automated systems for just that, for construction project management. I joined a software company after that, and then worked in the private sector for a while, and then joined University of Toronto. And for 6 years, I was running a research managing a research center at U of T. I was mostly working with industry partners and identifying gaps from an R&D perspective and then addressing those gaps through research projects. The challenge that we had at U of T was because we were a research intensive university. A lot of funds would come in through R&D, but we would spend most of that on research, and there was very limited development capacity from an academic perspective. So a whole bunch of our industry partners and myself decided that we want to have a different platform for R&D, and that's why we established AECO Innovation Lab. So we are a solution-driven and industry-backed R&D platform that's going to be helping the AEC industry in its digitization journey over the next several years. So that's what we do, and that's why we're here.
Okay, that's great to know. And by the way, growing up, when I knew about getting into like world-class university, U of T was at top of my list. Like I wanted to go to U of T, which never happened by the way. But I'm happy to be interviewing people from U of T now. Okay, so we want to talk more about, because I know you're involved a lot in creating standards for information exchange, information management. Your company, AECO Innovation Labs, is heavily invested into that. But let's first of all say, why are these standards? Why is information exchange standard even important to start with?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So one of our R&D initiatives is called One Ontario, and it's focused on just that, on development of data exchange standards for the development approval process in Ontario. And the reason that's important is because when you submit an application for a development approval, it has to go to the municipality, but it also has to leave the municipality and go to a number of applicable law agencies that need to comment on that application. Now, the problem is our municipalities are picking up e-permitting solutions. What that means is they're digitizing their permitting process at the municipal level. But when they want to communicate to outside entities outside of the municipality, they're still relying on the one standard we have in this industry, and that's paper. So a lot of information is being faxed back and forth. A lot of information is being emailed back and forth. And unfortunately, a lot of the information is being done by curbside pickup during COVID, where entities are actually picking up drawings from one entity and taking to that another. Those drawings that are being transported by paper are actually generated digitally. So nobody's actually doing drawings by hand anymore. Every drawing has a digital presence somewhere. But the reality is, because our infrastructure doesn't allow us to use that digital information, we have to print it on paper and then have to transport paper from one entity to another, which is just very counterproductive. So that's why we need information exchange. We need a better way of talking to each other than paper and email, because those platforms really limit what we can do in terms of gaining efficiencies and increasing the productivity. That's why we think that a data exchange standard is a way to go. Another reason for that is, for right now, for the private sector to be able to sell any solution to the municipal sector, it's a very difficult undertaking. We have 444 municipalities in Ontario alone, and every municipality has their own IT department and they have their own backend systems. So if you have a solution that can help building officials do their job better today, and if you have to connect to the digital infrastructure of municipalities, that's going to be a very difficult sales cycle. What this data exchange standards would do is that for all the municipalities who comply or adopt these standards, if you're a private sector player and you have a solution that you want to sell to this industry and they do their job better, as long as your solution complies with the same standards, well, you can connect now to all the municipalities who have adopted that standard. So it's basically a translation, a language translation that connects the private sector and the public sector together, and also connects all the public sector players together. So that's why we think this is an investment in the digital infrastructure of this country.
Okay, yeah, that is a very, very important point, that we really don't have one thread that can connect information exchange, or even what information to put in first place. And when we are saying inputting of information, how do you think adopting BIM is becoming more and more important now within municipalities, within private sector?
That's a great question. That's a fantastic question. We've done 3 national BIM surveys in Canada over the last 5 years. So we think we have a pretty good idea of where the industry is, and where the industry is ahead of the government. That's where the industry is. So we do want the government to catch up to our private sector. In all other jurisdictions internationally, BIM mandates are coming from the top. Canada right now is the only G7 country without a national BIM mandate. So it's a question of when, not if, that we're going to have some sort of a BIM mandate here in Canada. And when that happens, our municipal sector needs to be ready to adopt it. So what we've been asking our municipal partners is that now that you're going digital, now that you're letting go of paper and adopting digital tools, let's think 5 years ahead, so that in 5 years your systems won't be obsolete and out of date. And the way you can protect that is by adopting BIM, being able to accept BIM into the municipal space. The challenge is that for all these 444 municipalities in Ontario alone, it would be a very difficult undertaking to build up BIM capabilities at the municipal space. So what we're proposing, we're working with buildingSMART Canada, and we're inviting some other national players to basically develop a BIM standard for BIM submission to municipalities. And what that would mean is that everybody would be on the same standard, and you would submit your BIM model to this central portal, if you will, BIM portal for Canada, and then that would translate that information that's in BIM to whatever the municipalities can absorb. So if a particular municipality can take on the entire model, then fine. If a municipality is still on paper and needs drawings, we can generate drawings from the BIM model. And we slowly work with the municipalities and give them the results instead of them actually working on the BIM file. So we're looking for automated code compliance checking. We're looking for some automated inspection capabilities, and that could all be offered centrally through this platform, and the results of which could then go to municipalities. And why that's important is because from a residential space, for example, there's been a lot of resistance as to, what, do we really need to go to BIM? And we've been doing what we're doing for many decades. It's working. I don't want to change. Why do I need to go to BIM? And it's a valid concern. But once you can show that, okay, if you go on BIM, you can now get your permit faster, then the conversation changes, because that's a pain point that the industry has been dealing with for years. They've been telling us for years that, we got to do something about this. And what we can do about this is that if we start accepting BIM models into municipalities, then we can add automation on top of it. Then we can get the permitting process to go on faster. And at the end of the day, the users will benefit. So we believe that pushing BIM upstream to the government might be a really good way for us to promote the adoption of BIM in this sector.
Yeah. And it's also not just the municipalities, but also some smaller companies that don't have right now capabilities to actually deliver BIM models for submissions. So I think also as an industry, we need to support, like I know there are bigger companies who are way ahead of curve, and they have their like company-wide standards, and they're already in compliance with a lot of BIM standards by ISO or by buildingSMART Canada. But I think we do really need to support the smaller players, because that's where a lot of resistance also comes from. So do you think that moving forward, once we have an information exchange protocol, a BIM standard protocol, these protocols in place, do you think these smaller players will be forced to get into BIM, or they still can start now, and by the time it's there, they can catch up?
In most other countries that have adopted BIM, it's always been starting from the big projects and over the years going to the smaller projects. So that's going to be a phased approach regardless. Our position is that our municipalities need to be BIM capable. We're not really pushing for BIM mandate at the municipal level. We just want the municipality to be BIM capable and to be able to take advantage of the investments that some other players in the industry have already been making in BIM, right? So if you've invested in BIM and you're willing to comply with these data standards that we're going to put forward, well, you should be able to leverage that investment. Right? So we look at it more as an optional capacity as opposed to a mandate. That's really not our position. But I do see our BIM community and BIM consultants playing a big role here, because to your point, while the industry in many cases is already adopting BIM, in some other cases they're not. So they will need support from independent BIM consultants, from in-house BIM consultants, and the entire BIM community to basically ramp. And maybe we got to stop calling it BIM. Maybe we can talk about digital construction. Maybe we can talk about a different term, right? To be more inclusive, because BIM seems to alienate some audience in my perspective. But digital construction is something that people can connect to, right? So that's a philosophical discussion, maybe for later. But
I have BIM in my company name. I would really root for BIM. But anyways, and that's a personal bias. But yes, there are other terms in like whatever you want to call it. But what I call like people say digital project delivery, they say digital construction, they say digital innovation. I mean, when I talk about BIM, I say it's not, take building as not a noun, but as a verb. So use building as noun and not as a verb. And then it becomes really simple that you are building information into your model. The model can be linear infrastructure, it can be building like a physical building, and it can be a process, right? I think in construction industry are really behind of other industries as far as digital innovation is concerned.
No, absolutely, absolutely, and I have nothing against BIM. I'm one of the board members on Toronto BIM Community. We've been promoting BIM surveys, but even with our BIM surveys, when we send the BIM surveys out, because it's called a BIM survey, it kind of again alienates a whole bunch of our audience from this industry. Once you talk about digital construction or digital delivery, then people are more willing to open up the survey and even take a look at it and see, okay, where they fit, right?
Right.
That's the angle that we're kind of playing.
No, I support you that. I am really really interested to know more about what exactly are we doing at One Ontario, and I'm pretty sure all the audience they are, because all the information that I have is coming from social media, but I want to know it from you, that what exactly is One Ontario and what exactly is going to be the result of this project.
Yeah, One Ontario is a coalition. I think that's the best way to describe it. There's a coalition of different stakeholders. So from the residential construction side, we have RESCON, that's the Residential Construction Council of Ontario, who came on first, a visionary in this space, has been supporting research in this area for a long time. Richard Lyle, president of RESCON, has been very supportive of our program. So RESCON came on first, and then we had BUILD and OHBA that came in next. So from a residential perspective, we are very well represented across the province. And we have OGCA, that's the General Contractor Association, so we have the ICI sector also represented. On the municipal space, we have OBOA, the building officials, we have OPPI, the planners, we have AMO, the administrators and the mayors. We have LMCBO, that's the large municipalities, chief building officials, and we have individual municipalities like City of Toronto and Windsor and others who've joined. So from a municipal space, there's a lot of buy-in. From a technology space, we have buildingSMART Canada and then the Toronto and the Ottawa chapters that have come in to support the BIM implementation part of this project. We have Terion, MPAC, HICRA, all the different stakeholders that need access to development approval data, who come forward and say, you know what, we are willing to help this, we're going to make this a reality. And then we have the e-permitting solution providers who came in, and they're always seen as part of the problem, but they've said that we don't want to be the problem, we want to be part of the solution. So a number of them like Calaterra and AlphaNet and Unisys have come in and said, you know what, we're willing to support this. It's very forward thinking from their perspective to be able to contribute to a project like this. And then we have Conservation Ontario that basically represents all the conservation authorities in this space who've come in, and we're reaching out to MTO and others to come on board. So what is One Ontario? One Ontario is a coalition of a lot of stakeholders who've said enough is enough, and that we are willing to support an information exchange between our entities, so that we can be more productive as an industry. So to me, that's the most impressive part of One Ontario, the fact that all these organizations are willing to agree on one thing. So I'll take that as a win. And then our job at AECO is to work with this coalition and be their R&D arm, basically, and that could develop these standards and put those out there in the market. We have reached out to the government, so NMAH and Treasury Board are involved now in this discussion, and we hope that they come to the table very soon as well.
Oh, awesome. So are you guys referring to already established standards in other parts of the world? Are you taking those standards in consideration? Absolutely.
So on the BIM side, the benefit of working with buildingSMART Canada is that they're obviously connected to buildingSMART International. So they can bring in all the lessons learned from Europe, from elsewhere into Canada, and that's what we're going to be doing with them. On the municipal space, also, there's been a lot of work that's been done in UK and also in Singapore and other jurisdictions. So done this before. We've done international scans in the past. We've kind of looked at what everybody else has done. The good news about going last is that there's a lot of examples ahead of us, right? So yes, we are falling behind everybody else, but the good news is that we can look at what everybody else has done, learn from the lessons, and then hopefully leapfrog forward.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I have like 10 million questions in my mind going around, but I don't want this to be just a boring techno babble. So I'm going to move to the last section of our podcast, which is the impossible questionnaire. And like I said,
Okay.
Yes. So, like as the name says, this questionnaire these are 5 questions I asked to all my guests. And the sole intention behind this is to make guests feel that they don't know enough.
Okay, I can already.
I'm joking. I'm just joking about that, but yes, it's with an intention that regularly, with everything that we keep on doing in our daily silos, we really miss out on information that's going outside, which is related to our industry. So it's just a wake-up call. It's a fun questionnaire, and I hope you enjoy it. And but like I said, because you come from academia, I'm a little intimidated right now. So
no. I'm gonna be embarrassing myself. I feel like it's an embarrassment is coming up. Let's see what you got.
Mostly these questions are either from OBC or they are from ISO standards. So brace for it. So my first.
I'm gonna pass on all of those questions. I myself an expert in either one. Having said that, I do want to take this opportunity and kind of talk about OBC because we developed an app for OBC as part of
I
AECO.
know that. I have it on my phone. I look at it all the time.
So I can bring in our OBC experts to answer your questions, but
you tell me you're not gonna be looking into your phone for this.
I'm just gonna bring up. We also have a web application, so that's what I'm gonna bring up right now to see if I can.
My goodness, yeah. So I don't know. I could promote this. This is a beautiful app. I don't know if I can show. It's a beautiful app. I have it on my phone. I look it up all the time. So I'm so happy somebody did this, man.
Excellent. So download my building code. Let's start digitizing this industry. Let's start with the building code. So.
Yes, but you're not allowed to open the app on your phone or on your system.
It's gonna be a big embarrassment, but let's do it. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Let's start with it. So first question is from, and it's very basic, from ISO standards. So ISO standards has 5 parts. So in ISO 19650, the ISO BIM standards, right? It has 5 parts, and then it has a transition guide because it moved from BS 1192 to ISO. Do you know which part refers to information management requirements in the delivery phase of assets?
Oh, absolutely not. No. I've been involved in some of those conversations early on because with the whole IFC boards that was happening, it was my early days in my academia. So I've been in some of those conversations before, but no references to the specific sections. I don't use neither the ISO nor the OBC on a daily basis or on a regular basis. So I'm gonna have to pass on a lot of this question. But let's see.
Okay, for your information, it has 5 parts. The first one is basic principles and definitions. The second part is the information management during the course. Then third part is delivery. Fourth is still under publication. And then there's a 5th part that talks about the security-minded approach towards information management. So, okay, next question. So according to Ontario Building Code, under what condition in a building a pitched roof can be considered as an exterior wall?
A fixed roof can be considered as an exterior wall. I got no clue. Like, I'm not even gonna attempt this question.
Okay, so if a roof is pitched at an angle of 60 degrees or more, then it's considered a part of an exterior wall and not roof.
We should have our product manager do this interview. It would be a lot less embarrassing.
If they come over, I'm going to switch to another section. I'm not even going to Ontario Building Code then. That's the whole beauty of impossible questionnaire. Okay, so next question. Do you know?
At least call them impossible questions, right? I don't feel as bad.
Yes.
Thanks for that.
Okay, again, this is again an Ontario Building Code question. So if we have to design a chemistry lab in a secondary school, what do we need per person square meter area to calculate the occupant load?
That's an interesting question. I don't know the answer to, but what we're working on is occupant load calculators for building code. So we're going to be working on this a set of smart calculators in the building code, and based on the use and the size and all that, we can automatically generate the occupant load. So it's going to be there soon. I'm going to see if I can look something up for you, but
well, I have the answer. I've done my research already.
I know you do. I want to see if I can find mine. That's gonna take a while. Let's go with your answer.
It's 4.6 meters square per person is the occupant load calculation criteria.
Okay.
Excellent. The next question is, this is OBC and accessible design. So if we need to design a ramp that fulfills the criteria for accessible design in the province of Ontario, what is the width of the ramp, excluding the handrails that we need to give?
So as you can imagine, I don't do building code on a regular basis. We just develop the digital tools for it so other people can use it. But I just searched the width of the ramp, and I have 900 millimeters coming up. I got different numbers coming up. So diagram-free design. I think I'm in the right section. I've got the slope. Hold on. I can get this done.
Oh, this is full-on cheating that's going on in the exam.
It's called digitization. So you don't have to memorize stuff. You can actually look it up.
Right.
Another good news is that my building code is going through a redesign now. So we're gonna have an AI search element. So right now the search is very basic, but we're gonna have a smart search capabilities being added, where you can actually type up the full questions, and then we can get the answers for you. So this interview will be a lot easier in a few months once I build all that AI into here. But for now.
So in a few months, I will not even ask you a question from OBC.
Well, that's not fair.
Okay, so this is 900 millimeters. That's the minimum width we require between the handrails.
I had that.
Okay, so the last question, and this is and you won't have it. So this is from our CCDC documents. So if a project is delayed due to labor strikes, adverse weather, fire, etc., is a contractor entitled to payment to cover the costs of delay?
I would really hope that's going to be addressed in the contract. So you always default to the contract.
But according to standard CCDC?
I have no idea. They probably will, but I don't know.
No, the only reason a contractor gets paid for a delay is if the reasons are due to an owner or a consultant issue.
Right, yeah.
Not because of a natural calamity or like a pandemic. Contractors did not get paid because of the delay.
There's a lot of claims going around these days in that space, and I think our contract language needs to be a lot clearer going forward, because what the pandemic showed us was that there's a lot of gaps in our contract language out there. So I think that's an area that needs to be improved.
Okay, yeah, we are done with 5 questions. You're
God.
the only guest who did use internet to try to find the answers, but it was fun.
I got one. It was fun. It was fun, and it got me a chance to kind of test our own product, and glad that it works. So, thank you.
No worries. It was really amazing to have you. I hope, just like me, rest of the people who are listening to the podcast, the listeners, the audience, they understand the value that One Ontario and AECO is building to our permitting system, to our build environment in general. And all the best for every other initiative that you guys take on at AECO.
Thanks very much, Edna. Good luck with what you're doing. I think this is great. I think BIM is the future. So and I'm glad to have people like yourself kind of leading the way on that front. So best of luck to you, and I'm sure we'll talk more soon.